Yes, it is that time of year where we are putting away the previous year's curriculum. I am purchasing and planning and working out our next year curriculum. Some people do this much earlier than me. Some people do this later than I do. I just kind of do it when I do it. I get to it when I get to it, and sometimes it's earlier in the year, sometimes it's later, but this is when I'm doing it now. So I have a number of books to share with you guys. I was just telling my husband yesterday that I feel like this year I have just found the best homeschooling resources and additional books and stuff. I just am feeling really good. Now, this is not everything, of course, but this is just some things that I have picked up in the last few weeks and I've kind of set to the side so that I could share with you guys. Also, just a quick reminder, if you are new here, if you're new to homeschooling, or even if you're a veteran homeschool mom and maybe you're just feeling a little burnt out from the last year and you need some encouragement, inspiration, ideas for the coming year, don't forget that my homeschool course has relaunched. It's finally available again. I'll have all the information down below in the description box, but it is a 6-week comprehensive course covering everything from A to Z about homeschooling. Be sure to check that out. And I also have some other very exciting homeschool related things coming up very soon. So subscribe if you have not already. Let's get into the haul. The first thing I want to share with you guys is I mentioned this in a video recently where I was talking about read alouds for the summer. And I had mentioned these read alouds that I was going to do with my kids. And I picked ones that I knew would really interest my boys, but also would interest my other kids as well. And I didn't ever actually link them or tell you what they were, but here they are. This is the first one. It's a series of 2 books. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any more than 2, but it's called Edge of Extinction. This one's called The Ark Plan and Code Name Flood. So it goes through 150 years ago, 5 years ago, yesterday, and now. And it is an adventure book. And I typically take my book recommendations like this that I'm going to do as read alouds for fun from friends. But if friends don't have anything to recommend, then I always go to Sarah Mackenzie Read Aloud Revival. I sort by age, and I knew that my boys would want something adventure-esque, and this series came very highly recommended from her, so that she said her kids loved it. So that's our read alouds for the summer, is I'm going to be reading those books. And then we are also going to be I'll talk more about our curriculum choices for the coming school year and everything. I'll talk about that in a future video, but I wanted to share this because I felt like, man, this is a great little resource. So this is short lessons in art history, artists and their work. And if you are just wanting to do something more simple, cursory on art history, this is great because it kind of puts each artist, they've got their own little chapter. This is Leonardo da Vinci, 1452 to 1519. And then it's got just a couple pages. It's not overwhelming. It's got, let's see, 4 pages about him. And there's some sample pictures here. Now, this is in black and white, but it's super easy to Google and see what the paintings look like in color, obviously. I feel like this would be great to include in a morning basket, or to just add as an add-in resource for an art course or an art history course that you're doing. And then it does, by the way, in the middle have a full color insert of various paintings, various works of art that are referenced throughout the book. So it does have that as this fully color insert. So the whole thing is not black and white. I'm excited to incorporate this for my kids this year. The next book, I don't know if you guys can see behind me right over here, I purchased a lovely little stack of vintage books from this bookstore in Virginia by my little sister's college. She was graduating from graduate school, getting her master's degree. And there's this little bookstore there, and they have it's all used books for the most part. I don't think there was any new. It's all used books, but they have these little stacks of truly old vintage books, and you just pay a certain amount for each stack. And so I grabbed that little stack because it's all Shakespeare works, and I thought that was fantastic. So obviously I can't link to that because that is vintage, but I did have to share that because I was very excited by it. And then at that same bookstore, I found this, which tells me that maybe they do sell some new things, because this is a new book. I think it was mostly the kids stuff that was new. Anyways, this is The Outdoor Scientist by Temple Grandin, world-renowned scientist, inventor, and animal expert. The wonder of observing the natural world. I love to add things to our nature studies. We have nature notebooks and I'm always just adding different resources, encyclopedias, and different resources for my kids to use when it comes to nature. I really liked how this was laid out in terms of studying something and then having not really like experiments, but projects to do. So then it'll say, you can go to a section on rocks or the beach, for example, and, it'll talk about various things that you would want to study with that, and then projects to do relating to the beach and things that you might find at the beach, the woods, birds, the night skies, animal behavior, stuff about dogs and footprints and all that. It just looked like a really neat little resource. So I'm sure I can find this to link for you guys on Amazon, but it's something cool to add to a nature notebooking basket or to a morning basket if you do like nature notebooking at that time. I thought that was neat. My oldest two are going to be doing a logic course that's like logic and critical thinking. And I found this book. Boy, it's a long story. I won't even go into it all, but I was looking through some of the curriculum and resources used by certain school districts and stuff. Anyways, that's how I stumbled across this book. And I was like, I'm very interested to see how they lay this out. So it's called An Illustrated Book of Bad Arguments. Learn the Lost Art of Making Sense. And it basically goes through and, has logical fallacies, informal red herrings, and then breaks down each different argument type, right? So like equivocation, not a cause for a cause, guilt by association, composition and division, straw man, steel man, all that kind of stuff. I think it's a fantastic way to introduce those concepts because it's kind of putting it into cartoons. So like this one's Appeal to Hypocrisy, and it's putting it into like a cartoon form, which will make it easier for kids to understand, right? They might not understand the examples of an adult argument, but for kids, this is great. So also hopefully helps them see the error in some of their own little arguments. I also, again, very excited about this. This is a beefy book, but that's okay. We're obviously not going to read the whole thing, but it'll be great to pick from as we do different history courses and stuff. But this is Extraordinary Speeches of the American Century. It's called In Our Own Words. This is a record of the most impassioned, inspirational, and infuriating orations ever given by Americans in this century. Featured here are the words of poets and politicians, artists and astronauts, scoundrels and sports heroes, Native Americans and Nobel laureates, soldiers and civil rights activists, humorists, and hellraisers, the most comprehensive collection of American oratory ever assembled. It has over 150 speeches, sermons, eulogies, radio broadcasts, courtroom pleas, fireside chats, public tributes, and commencement addresses. You've got them separated here by year. So if you're doing a history course that's, sort of very linear and you're like, okay, I want to go to 1930 to 1939 and go look at all the options. And then obviously it's like a table of contents, right? The pages of those speeches or radio broadcasts or whatever. President Warren G. Harding marvels at the majesty of Yellowstone National Park. President Truman addresses a nation grief-stricken by the death of Franklin D. Roosevelt. This is probably a book that I will be picking through till I'm an old woman. Kind of sad that I haven't had it before. I'm sad that I didn't realize it even existed. So this book, another fat one in the same vein as that, it's called The American Reader, Words That Moved a Nation. Here in a single rich volume are the classic texts that evoke America in both its wondrous diversity and its abiding centrality of purpose. So again, this one says it's a stirring and memorable anthology that captures the many facets of American culture and history in prose and verse. The 200 poems, speeches, songs, essays, letters, and documents were chosen for their readability and for their significance. Gathered here are the writings that illuminate, with wit, eloquence, and sometimes sharp words, significant aspects of the national consciousness. They reflect the part that all Americans, black and white, native-born and immigrant, Hispanic, Asian, and Native American, poor and wealthy, have played in creating the nation's character. I feel like you're going to find me as like a little old woman in my rocking chair reading these and highlighting and marking pages. So I'm excited to use them in our school, but I'm honestly just excited to have them on my shelf for me. This little resource right here. I'm pretty impressed with this. So this is called Sentence Sense, a diagramming and parsing handbook incorporating Harvey's revised English grammar. And it's basically a language arts resource. And it just goes through the basics, right, initially. So it's going to go through like nouns, adjectives, pronouns, prepositions, the sentence, understanding that structure, and then capitalization and punctuation. And then it goes through the diagramming of sentences and clauses, sentence classes by use, rules of syntax, modifiers, all of that. There's just all of the grammar things here you go, which is fabulous if you just need to look something up really quickly, or if you want to do a little bit deeper dive into a certain area. This kind of resource book I think is so helpful. As much as I want my kids to be able to jump on a computer and research something, I also think it is very, very beneficial to grab a book and find answers in a book. Oh, that makes me think of, do you look inside a book? Reading Rainbow. Makes me think of Reading Rainbow. There it is. Great resource to add to our English language arts resources shelf. And then this book I picked up for my boys to do either in morning basket, though I'm not sure we're going to be doing a morning basket next year. I know. Don't have a heart attack. It's okay. We're all going to be okay. I don't know that we're doing a morning basket next year. So I don't know exactly where this is going to go in our day. But I wanted them to begin to do these, not every day even, but this is Critical Thinking, Cranium Crackers, Book 1. Again, it's just sort of along the lines of those logic, critical thinking, skill building, and just a fun opportunity to do something that isn't so sit down and answer this math problem, do this thing, right? It's just something that you're like thinking through and thinking around, and it's just kind of fun with patterns and numbers and allowing them to think and use their brain in maybe a slightly different way than what they're used to doing with like rote memorization and memorizing facts and that kind of thing. So I always think that kind of stuff is fun, and it also like almost always sparks some kind of very interesting conversation. So the next thing is this workbook called Money Matters for Teens workbook. I don't obviously know what I think of this yet, but I purchased it to go along with a course for one of my older girls, and it's, like personal finance and money course. So I am interested to see how this works, but it seems like it would be good. It talks about going through budgets, controlling bigger budgets, money management, tithing, reconciling a checking account, interest, savings accounts, buying a car, saving money, all of that kind of stuff. And it's a workbook. So it's not just reading, it's like practice, putting into practice the things that you have learned, which is always beneficial, right? Right. The last two things I have to share are I picked up the Good and the Beautiful's this is new, yes, their new paleontology course. First of all, I really like, and maybe I'm just new, maybe they've been doing this for a while and I haven't noticed, but I really like that they sent this one spiral bound. Normally their units like this, their science units come free, unbound, free floating. I don't know what I was going to say, unbound. And then I usually put them in a notebook or something like that. But I kind of like that this one already comes spiral bound. Seems handy and helpful. And I just knew that my boys in particular, but even my twins, like I knew that all my younger kids would really, really love this. So it comes with the paleontology teacher guide. And this is for grades 3 through 8. Again, when I say my twins, yes, they are 4, almost 5, but they would just listen and hang out with us. They don't have to actually do it. But so this is the, teacher book / course book. It's got all the lessons and information in it. And then I purchased 2 of the grade 3 through 6 student journals. So this is what my boys will do along with each lesson is, the corresponding page in the student journal, which I think, again, is fabulous because normally we have notebooks and they just write things, take notes. That can be hard for the younger kids. I like having something directed for them to do in a course like this. And then I also got the reading pack that came with it. Let me open this. So this is Ancient Animals and the Ultimate Dinosaur Guide, because you could just never have enough books about dinosaurs for my kids anyways. No surprise that everything is beautiful. That is, just one of the things about the Good and the Beautiful that I really enjoy. While we don't use them for every subject, certainly, and there's certain subjects that just don't really work for our family, you can't say that their books are not beautiful. They really, really are. That brings me to the last thing, which is the language arts curriculum from the Good and the Beautiful. They have been re-releasing their language arts curriculums with some revisions and changes and updates. We quit using their language arts curriculum a number of years ago because my kids it didn't really spark their interest, which made me sad because, again, I really like so many of their the things that they offer. They are really beautiful, and thus far I have found them to all be pretty thorough as well. But my kids they didn't love it, and we have switched to other things. So when I saw that they were re-releasing them with some changes, after having such good success trying their math since they've changed it to Simply Math. I thought, let me just get this. I already have lots of other things that I could use. So let me know if you guys want to see a full flip through of this is the kindergarten level. So this is Language Arts and Literature level K. This is the course book, the Reading Booster A cards, and then the Reading Booster A books. Let me know if you guys want to see a more in-depth video with a true flip through of this curriculum and just kind of going over it. If y'all are interested in seeing that as a separate standalone video. And yes, I do purchase curriculum that we don't actually always end up using because I like to review curriculum for you guys. I feel like it is part of my job. Part of what I enjoy doing is checking out new curriculum offerings and seeing what I think and sharing them with you guys, because I can see lots of positives in different curriculums, even if they don't work for us. And I like being able to share that, because again, what works for us may not work for you. And I like having sort of a broad sense of what's available and how they work, how they function in different curriculums. So let me know if y'all are interested in seeing that, and I will plan on getting that video up soon. But that is it for this book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed looking through some of these books with me. I love homeschool books. I mean, I could sit all day and watch homeschool curriculum, homeschool book hauls, and never get bored of it. It's a sickness, it's an illness, but I love it. But that's all I have for today. Like I said, I am going to have our curriculum choices and all of that. All those different videos will be forthcoming. So be sure to subscribe if you're not already, so that you don't miss any of that. But that's it for me today, y'all. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you again very soon.